Now, we're talking about this because research from Nationwide Bank shows more than half of homeowners are living in properties with 2 or more spare bedrooms. And there's a well-documented shortage, of course, of family homes. So do you think pensioners ought to feel pressure, moral pressure really, their consciences ought to give them a good tweak and say, you better move out, downsize, help make space for families? Maybe you did exactly that. Or maybe you think the very idea that you might be made to feel pressured to move out of your own home is absolutely outrageous. What do you think? Why don't we start with Eve? What do you think, Eve?
As the oldest person.
Well, you know, deferring to your seniority here.
Exactly. I think a lot of older people would move out if they could find what they've got on one floor. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are not enough bungalows. I never thought I'd say that phrase. But people would like to do it. But a lot of older people keep spare bedrooms because the family come back, and it makes a lot of sense if they're living with them. The other thing is it's very, very hard to let go of, you know, this and that. And we have downsized, gone to a flat. But it's an emotional thing, and I realise I've taken much too many things.
Really?
And, you know, they will have to slowly leap out of the house for one reason or another. A lot of Christmas presents are coming from that way. And china and things you just don't need anymore. And also, people get totally attached to their gardens.
But why shouldn't you? It's your garden, it's your home. I
Yes.
mean, why would you have to kind of wean yourself off, Donna? Your home, your garden, the place where you know your neighbours, the place maybe that you brought up your children, or maybe that your beloved partner lived with you in and has since passed away, and it's your home. The idea that you're under pressure and you're going to feel bad and guilty about staying in your own home, and who knows how long it took you to pay off the mortgage if you ever did pay off the mortgage.
Yeah, well, this is it. I don't even understand that this is a thing that we're actually talking about, if I'm honest. I imagine saving up so many years to buy your property and then being asked to move out when you're older, when you're fragile, when when you're lonely perhaps. I'd love to have a big house when I'm older, and if I have 4 spare rooms, that's absolutely fine. Put all my dresses in there.
Well,
I don't have
your own
to
business.
Yeah,
If you've got spare rooms, they're your spare rooms.
That's it. I paid for it.
Lewis, but you've got young children, and you know it's very hard, isn't it, to find a family home that anybody can afford these days, anywhere in the country.
I don't know how people do afford family homes. I mean, this is the thing. I have a lot of compassion here. I don't think we should kick people out in retirement, but I do think we should make an effort to be encouraging people to leave around that retirement age. If we said to people, look, between sort of 60 and 70, if you sell your house, you're going to be better off than at any other point. I think that would encourage people, because I've also seen on the flip side of it, you know, my great aunt lived to be 94, bless her. Was in a 4-bedroom house, and then the stairs became too much, and it was too late to move her now. She would never have coped in a new environment. So if you can get people sort of, as you know, you've still got all of your faculties, and you're still able to move around, and you know, around that retirement age, and then you can have, you know, the rest of your life somewhere else that's a little bit more designed for if you ever struggle with your mobility. I think that would help everyone, because the money now that to afford, I mean, just on the street I live, there was a flat that went on the market. They wanted £500,000 for it.
What was it like? Describe it.
Just a 2-bedroom house. Nothing special about it at all. And you think, especially in London, I know we live in London, it's a little bit different, but what they want £1 million for. Now, if I spend £1 million on a house, I want a jacuzzi, I want a pool, I want a sauna, I want, you know, a walk-in wardrobe.
Yeah, a moat.
Now it's like, you know, it's a shed. It's a
live
glorified shed.
in the very north of Scotland.
That would be
The calls are coming in thick and fast on this subject, and I'm not at all surprised. Do give me a call, 0207 862 2222. Let's talk to Derek in Northamptonshire. Derek, what do you think? Are you rattling around, as people always say? They always use that verb, rattling around. Are you doing that?
Well, some might say that we are, but actually, I think we would find difficulty if we moved into a smaller house. Reason being, we often have to accommodate our grandchildren, even though our own children have moved out. We often have to find a space for grandchildren who stay over from time to time. So for that reason, we still need the size of the house we've got. But I even wonder whether people would actually be able to afford a house that came up for sale from a older person who had vacated their property, because I can actually remember the time when you could buy a house for the equivalent of 1 year's salary. When I first took out a mortgage, the cost of a property, I think, if I remember rightly, was about 4 times my salary. I think now the cost of a mortgage is about, the cost of a house rather, is about 10 times the average income.
Absolutely.
So I don't think people will be able to afford them anyway.
Derek, do you like the idea of downsizing? Does it appeal to you? Do you and your wife think of doing it, or are you very attached to your house and you don't want to leave it?
Well, I think we're like some people who like the location we're in, and we also like the space we've got.
Yes.
I mean, I've got a cinema built into one of the bedrooms.
Ooh.
Because we're reluctant to lose if we have to move into a smaller house.
That sounds fab. Gosh, doesn't that sound fabulous?
So good, yeah.
God, I fancy
I'm coming
that.
to yours, Derek.
Derek sounds no wonder he doesn't want to leave. It sounds gorgeous. But this idea of rattling around, it's a nasty phrase, I think. That's made, I don't know who dreamed it up, but Derek's not rattling, is he? He likes it.
He's enjoying
He likes
it.
the space. He likes
Yes.
going and watching his cinema room. He likes having his grandchildren to stay. He's not rattling. He's happy there. Let's go to Barbara. She's in Merseyside. What do you think, Barbara? How do you feel about it?
Hi, Vanessa.
Hello. Hi.
I mean, I'd be more than happy to downsize. I live alone in a nice 4-bedroomed house, but cost-wise, there's no incentive. If the government could do something like abolish stamp duty for pensioners to downsize, then that would help in some way. Like your previous caller, I'd like to stay in the area, but there's after removal costs and stamp duty, I'd be no better off for downsizing.
Tell me, Barbara, have you looked in the area just to see if there's anything suitable that you might like? Because Eve's quite right. The sort of property that older people fancy and we quite like with, one decent space to entertain, for example, maybe a low maintenance, smaller garden, but still a garden, the sorts of things, spare bedroom, the kinds of things that you want are often impossible. They don't exist. You can't find them. And as she says, hardly any bungalows. Have you seen anything in your area that you could consider?
Yeah, I constantly look. I'm always on the lookout. But no, nothing ever really. With the cost of the actual financial cost of moving, there's absolutely no incentive.
Appreciate the call, Barbara. Thank you. Thank you very much. Cheaper for Barbara to stay where she is. Let's go to Joan in North Lanarkshire. Hello, Joan.
Oh, hello.
Hello. What do you think about this one?
Well, I can remember when I was young, living with my parents. The greatest thing everybody wanted was a council house, because the councils had their own housing, and you could put your name on the waiting list. Now, often you had a long wait.
Yeah.
But it was also possible to exchange houses, so that people might be in a house that was too big. If they got older, they could actually change houses, provided that the people they were changing with were.
Well, it makes a great deal of sense. Do you remember those days when you could do that? Yes. Yeah. And it's so sensible, isn't it, really?
It is.
Yeah.
I thought you still can do that.
I think you possibly can.
I think the right to buy has made it so difficult because council stock has depleted so much over the years. And it's one of these very difficult things because for some people it's made their whole lives and made their whole families. Yes. And then for other people it's meant that social housing is almost unattainable because they haven't got any, because they've sold it off. So it's a very, very difficult one. But that memory of Jones is eminently sensible, isn't it? That you would exchange one council house for another one and swap with a younger family. Let's talk to Philippa in Kent. Philippa, you upsized. What happened?
Basically, I know. Basically, I knew my son wouldn't be able to get a mortgage because he doesn't earn enough money and works in central London.
Right.
And I lived in Beckenham, and I sold my property in Beckenham and bought a bigger house in a place called Sutton Valence, and it's a beautiful house, and we both share the mortgage, so we have a joint mortgage, which, because of my age, will be paid off in about 5 years' time, which means he'll be mortgage-free and living in a beautiful house.
First of all, Sutton Valence sounds like something with Miss Marple in it, doesn't it? It sounds wonderful. We all feel that we can picture it instantly, the beautiful church, the rustic. We can imagine you there. But just tell me what it's like living with your son, and most particularly, I really need him on the line to tell me what it's like living with his mother. I mean, how's that worked out?
It's worked out very well. He's always, he's come back home and things like that anyway, and we get on very well. He's got his own space within the house. I can't get you to talk to him because he's out with his dad at the moment. But he is He'll be 45 this year, so he's getting on a bit. But he will be mortgage-free when he's 50, so...
I mean, everyone knows that Eve is Claudia Winkleman's mum. Could you imagine some kind of arrangement whereby she's a grown-up, you're a grown-up, and you live harmoniously together, or is that just in a film?
No, I'd get on very well with her.
Would you
It'd
like
be
to?
Rather nice. No, I mean, look, she needs her own world, as everybody does. But I think the idea of living with your children, if you can do it, and obviously they've got the space, is brilliant. I mean, other countries take it for granted that you live with one another. Britain can be quite a lonely place. And I do think if you really want to make the effort, you bought this house, you're proud of it. That's the other thing. You're constantly upgrading it, making it better, painting it, doing stuff. Very hard to let go.
I mean, I always like that thing, in Dallas where they were all having breakfast together, all the generations. There was JR, there was Jock and Miss Ellie, and then there were the children, and Sue Ellen was a bit drunk in the corner. But it was just like the whole family. It was always windy. Do you remember the croissants were always blowing away? It just looked great. And I'd love to live in some compound with my own grown-up daughters. Maybe I should announce that here, live on television. Daughters! Saskia and Allegra, let's all move in together. You know you'd like... They'd go mad. They wouldn't like it. Would you do such a thing?
No.
Would you do such a thing?
No, I'd have no liver left over my parents. My parents love to drink. I was there at the weekend.
I'll live with them.
I've never drank so much in my life.
Seriously?
Get nothing done.
Gosh, your parents are a bad influence on you.
Yeah,
I love it that way
great.
around. Amazing. Let's talk to Elaine in Yorkshire, who has actually just done it. Elaine, I'm so glad you phoned. You've just downsized.
No, I haven't just downsized. I did downsize about 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
From North Kent. I got the family house in the divorce, and I found out I could only do so much because it was really run down. Mm-hmm. I sold it. I downsized to a 2 up, 2 down, but then I found that I really needed to move away from the area. My son came with me, and I upsized again, but it was to a bungalow, which is suitable for me as an older person, but it's also good for my son to have as a family home when I'm not here anymore.
Right,
See?
okay.
So that's what we did there. But, of course, when you move to a different area, you get more for your money. Mm. And we didn't have any ties, so that was an advantage for us. But, yeah, it's good to downsize if you can. You can do it. But sometimes you've got to go out of area if you really want what you need.
And have you got a nice little cushion of money that's left over from the downsizing to sort of tide you through?
Well, I did have, but it's all gone because my son needed to learn to drive. I needed new furniture. So that's gone. But the thing is that he won't have a mortgage to pay. That's the thing, when he inherits this place.
And running costs and upkeep, I'm assuming, are less. I think they would be.
Sorry?
The running costs and the upkeep must be a bit less too, right?
I think, yes,
Should
it
be.
is less, yes.
Should be.
But he enjoys it. We live together. We get on most of the time, we have our ups and downs like most people. But we do get on most of the time. And I find in this day and age that an older woman living on her own is not a good idea. I mean, as it is, we've had to put in security cameras and a doorbell cam.
Right, okay, Elaine, well, I hope you're very happy living this another, multi-generational situation.
We're a lot happier up here. It's a lot better life.
Good, nice talking to you. Let's go to Tricia in Denbighshire. Hello, Tricia.
Hello there.
Hello, good to have you on. Tell me what you think ought to happen.
Right, I was raised in a council house.
Uh-huh.
And when I left, I'm now 67, my elderly mother stayed in the 3-bedroom council house for the rest of her life until she died, surrounded by at least 9 neighbours who did the same, because she didn't really want to move. It's social housing, and I really think the councils need to grasp the nettle there and move older people so that younger people can have the 3-bedroom houses.
You see, I'm so surprised you said that, because I would have thought that you would have seen it from your mum's point of view and you would have said the exact opposite. I thought you would have said, and it would have been awful if they'd turfed her out, if they'd, thrown her out of the place where she was so familiar with her lovely neighbours all around her. But instead you're saying they should have moved her, whether she wanted to move or not.
Yes, there were so many beautiful places with flats, attached to where she could have gone for bingo.
But
or
she
a
didn't
meal
want
or
to, though. She wanted to be in her own
She didn't
home.
want to go,
Didn't want to.
and neither did her neighbours.
But you
And
think,
I
but you
just
think that really the council
cruel.
should have strong-armed them out the door and said, you've got to go?
It's council housing. She didn't own the house.
You're very tough, Tricia. Aren't you tough?
Well,
God.
not really. I never got a council house.
Oh, I see.
I had to go and find my own property and buy my own property. I'm still in my own property and I'm looking at downsizing because I don't need a 4-bedroom house. I don't see why the councils are not grasping the nettle. Not only that, with people that, I'm sorry to say, live in council houses, where they have a couple of children that are still living there and still earning, they need to be reassessed every few years.
God, I'm just thinking of the newspaper headlines, though, and I bet Eve is as well. First Lady of Fleet Street, you know, if they started saying, right, you're 70, out you go, out the door, you can't stay in your house that you're very happy
Good story.
in. Can you imagine
but it would be terrible.
Wouldn't it be? I mean,
Yes.
imagine it. Thank you so much. Thanks for this conversation. We've really enjoyed it tremendously.